Merry Christmas!
Hi, this is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
This is your host, Chris.
No! God, please, no! No!
I know, I'm sorry, but he's cheap and available.
How rude!
Very rude, but hey, look, I'm used to it. Good afternoon. Let me get it in the right order. Good evening, good morning, good night, goodbye, goodbye. Hello. How are you all doing? Wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. Brand new show, same old hosts, but glammed up. Did you see the PR work? Show it you later. Just to let you know, everybody, a week on Wednesday, that's this coming Wednesday, we will be having our Christmas get-together. You get all the presenters in one show, and I've got my letter here from Santa Claus. He's got everybody's elf name. There's some very interesting ones down there, I can tell you. But we're going to let Kate loose on the team today. God help us. She's going to pick who she would have in her starting 11 for the upcoming game, which of course is away at Newcastle. We've got the press conference. We've got the injuries. So she's not going to pick somebody who's injured, and she's not going to pick Gary Lineker or anybody like that. She's going to be quite sensible. It's the first time for everything. But this is Kate's Pick and Mix. Kate's 11. Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. And I've got to say, looking at that picture, I think we both deserve an 11.
I know, yeah. I've been on a diet. I've grown my hair. I'm looking ready for Christmas. You've got your love rug out.
That's the comment. That is the comment of the show. We're not even a minute into it here. I know. And I've got hair, actually, on that as well. You know, who knew? But look, it's amazing what you can do with AI these days, isn't it? But we've the press conference, I presume, is about to finish. And so we know who's in, who's out, and who's shaking it about. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the 11. I've also, towards the end, I've got a Geordie fan. He's called Geordie fan, and Geordie fan for life, I think it is. Honestly, my memory's going really bad. Geordie Toon for life. There we are. I was nearly right.
I've seen him crop up before. Yeah.
And he has given us his starting lineup that he thinks it will be as well. So if we've got time at the end, I know you're on your lunchtime. We'll have a quick look at that. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with the defence, go through the midfield, and then go through the attacking options. I take it that you're picking Rude for manager and not Steve.
It was close, but yeah, I'm going to go with Rude.
Well, it wasn't close at all, was it? But look, here we go. Let's start with the defence and the goalkeeper. I'm sure that you again fought the need to go for Ward.
Yeah, it was tough. It was, it was like him and Rude and Steve. It was a toss up. It was really a flip of the coin job, to be honest.
I can get that. I can get that. But you've obviously gone and mad some Anson there without that. Just very quickly, this going to be the one and only season we have him in the Prem?
I don't know. Potentially, but as with anything with Leicester, we really drive a hard bargain. So you've got to pay us what we want. If he wants to go for anywhere between 50 and 70 million, then absolutely, it's what I don't know what we bought him for. To be honest, I don't know what his transfer fee was, but I also really rate Jakob.
Yes.
So it's not sort of oh my God, we don't want to lose him, because I thought Jakob was superb last season in some of the cup games and even did enough at times to try being the first choice when Hermansen had a few wobbles. But Hermansen's been an incredible purchase and acquisition. So, but if we're putting him in the window to do our usual successful model of buying cheap and selling on for an absolute diamond, then it might well be our only time with him in the Prem.
Well, we will see. But we've got him, so let's make the most of him. Back for no changes for you there. I thought because obviously you sent these through to me so I could do the graphic. I thought we may be losing a couple of those.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. No, I'm quite comfortable for the first time this season that Cody and Vestergaard are the partnership. I think Cody gives that stability to Yannick in terms of Yannick doesn't have to worry about him because he knows he's disciplined. He knows he's comfortable with his role and really experienced. So Yannick, I think, can come forward a bit and make those amazing, exquisite passes through the eye of a needle sometimes that he often does, because his distribution is one of the best in the team, really. And then Cody, I think he just is constantly talking / shouting at everyone like a true commander on the pitch, which we've been desperate for. And although the obvious elephant in the room is pace, I think so far we've been able to handle that by how we've set up, because we've got pace on the fullbacks there. And I think Cody understands his own limitations, as does Yannick. So we do sit quite deep at times, because I think Rude's deciding at the moment to use a counter-attacking style of play. So we do sit a bit deep, which suits Cody and Yannick. I think that's the marriage made in heaven for me at the minute in terms of the defence. And then I don't think we've got much choice. I prefer JJ on the left for sure.
Yeah.
But with the injuries that we've got, we're a little bit bare. And I thought Christensen had a really good game on Sunday. I thought he did really well. He obviously struggled with that second goal. But there was lots that kind of went wrong in the build-up to that. Like Cody didn't help when he slid in, comedy style. But I think that's going to be, while Ricky P's out, I think that's going to be the fullback.
I think we have to accept that, don't you? Like we say, because we haven't got anybody else at right back, and maybe that is a priority. I mean, we've started to see a lot of players being linked with us, etc. But we don't need any more defensive midfielders. In fairness, wingers we're not exactly desperate for. Right back, yes, we need a right back. And look, I like Christensen. And fair enough, he didn't last season, he didn't want to compromise his position, and he's got every right to do that because he was bought for a certain position. But he's come back in this season. He's had up and down games, but look, who hasn't under Cooper? But as a player, if he goes forward and doesn't then stop and come back, if he goes forward and gets the crossing, he has decent games.
Yeah, he does, yeah. I think he just needs to be given that confidence to be a little bit more dynamic. He does have the Danny Simpson about him sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's afraid to pass the halfway line. But I like him. I love his energy. He must be fit as a butcher's dog. Or him and JJ must be able to fly up and down the flanks, really. The way that they do is incredible for 90 plus minutes, and they never look, out of breath, really, when you see some of the other fitness levels amongst the team. But I've just been reading off the back of Rude's press conference there really quickly, is that he's been looking at what's called a little young JJ, because his name's Jaden Joseph. And he is in our academy, and he is a right back. So interestingly, I think we may see some new faces on the bench this weekend, which is really exciting. I have to say, really exciting. So he's a right back. He is 19. And yeah, I mean, if we've got the big JJ and the little JJ.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. I mean, let's hope so, because, let's hope we don't just see them sat on the bench, and if we're winning or it's obvious we're not going to win, throw them in and see what, do they sink or swim. But, I always think we have so many false dawns with the youth players, don't we?
Yeah, we really do.
Alves is never going to come into the building, let alone leave it. And I'm just thinking, like, oh, God's sake. And look, I think Baybook is going to suffer because hopefully, if he's not going to use him, send him out on loan in January.
Yeah, I think so. I just think he needs to go out on loan, to be honest, because he's supposed to be this superstar that's the cream of the crop of the academy. From what I understand of his performances within the academy, he's getting a bit of a name for himself in that opposition come in and man mark him, which doesn't help.
No.
Won't help his development. So it's kind of getting to the point. I'm not even objecting to him not being included in the Premier League squad, but I think for cups, why aren't we just throwing him in there?
Yes.
I don't really understand. For the Carabao Cup, when we were in it, he featured like for 20 minutes against Tranmere, and then we've got the FA Cup obviously in January. I'm not sure whether he'll play for. I mean, it's QPR. QPR aren't going to be terrible.
No.
They will see it as a bit of a coupon buster to try and come to the KP and win. So, but it does sort of feel like we'll use him or get some product out of him somewhere else.
Yes, yeah. Raising already before we've even started. Remember, Ayew was the slowest player on the entire squad. He's going to be the water boy. Justin, I totally agree with you. All right, it's only been 2 games, but I kind of think I've seen an improvement, even though he's in the same position, but an improvement from what he was under Cooper.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the main reasons for that is he's just been told to be a right back and only a right back. None of this inverted stuff when you've not got the personnel to slot into place around it, should that happen. He's not been bombing on loads when we're in possession either, which then often, as played out, we'd lose the ball and the opposition would counter-attack us really quickly, and JJ just would not be able to get back in time. So he was made to look an idiot, to be honest, because people just aren't dropping in. That was all about the cohesion that I don't think Steve Cooper promoted very well. Like, it's all well and good saying that that's a great tactic to have in possession, but then when you quickly lose it, they break through the lines too easily, because our middle of the park is still quite our underbelly. We're quite soft there still. And JJ just couldn't get back. So if you put him just as a right back and just go back to that drawing board and stick to the basics of what you want a right back to do and get him to do that, and then you can perhaps add layers to it and make it a bit more complex and a bit more tactical in that sense. But sometimes you've got to walk before you can run. And I think that's what JJ's had to do, because he's had a tough season. Like, he will absolutely know that some things he's done are his mistakes. He will absolutely know also that some things were Cooper's mistakes, because he never sorted that problem out. No. Fast hasn't helped being on that right-hand side either, which is why I think maybe we've seen JJ do better, because Cody is now in there and he's so aware compared to Fast. So it just makes it feel a bit more, it's just less nervy now, isn't it? You feel like, okay, I think they're all right. I think they're all right. We're not impenetrable, but we're a damn sight better than we were.
Yeah. And just very quickly, I'm so glad you've been agreeing with me on this point. I mean, I think Cody and Vestergaard, yes, the elephant in the room is, neither of them would win a 100-metre sprint race, but it's the experience they've got, and even when he brings Faze on at the end, and I'm thinking, like, oh my God, here we go, what's going to happen? But I can understand he's doing that maybe for adding a bit of pace for whatever, reason that he needs to. But I think, look, we're in the Premier League, we're up against some good defenders. As long as they're used right, like you say, not both disappearing up front because they're not both going to get back, I think they are our currently best 2 defenders.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand why Cooper and obviously Enzo used Fast so much, because of the pace element. But I felt like it was almost cutting your nose off to spite your face a bit, because Fast just is so prone to wandering, as we've called him, the wandering woot. And he's just got such a calamity in him at times. He really is a poor man's Suunchu. And I agree with quite a lot of the stuff that I've heard like Owen and Piper talk about, in that he's almost fancying himself better than he is.
Yeah.
There's arrogance, which is great because you want to be confident, but you don't want to overflow that into blind arrogance, which is where I think he's perhaps sitting. He just gets carried away, and it's probably through wanting to make an effort for the team, but he can't channel it that well.
No, you're quite right. Now then, we come to the problem area. The two that are going to sit in front of the back four, and like you say, it's come up in the press conference. I have to say, I am getting worried here, because for the second part of the team, I'm agreeing with you 100%. I see no problem with this at all.
Yeah, so for everybody watching, if they are, Samare's obviously out. He's got 5 yellows, which is where it's just a separate side issue that we can talk about on another show. But this is the problem with having referees whose booking methods have such a low threshold.
Yeah.
The amount of things that get bookings now, it must be, I'd love to know the numbers of the amount of players hitting 5 yellows and how premature that is compared to last season, because the yellow card threshold is so low, but that is a separate argument. So we've lost Samare. Wilf, we've just seen on Ruud's press conference, is ruled out, maybe for a few weeks, which isn't great. And then Winks is a doubt. Now, I'm never really...
You would have said that under Cooper. You'd have said, good, keep it out for more weeks.
Well, it's not great not having him as an option, is it?
No, I know,
he does have a role. We've said before, either in the 11 or 12 or 13 players that you're going to use. Wilf is going to be in there regularly, but yeah, with potentially no Winks. He said Winks is a doubt. Now, for me, that can mean he literally is a doubt and he's not even going to travel. They're going to look at him on Saturday, or it might be just a bit of mind games in that we might get him for the last half an hour.
Yes,
it just depends how the game plays out. But failing all of that, and if those guys aren't available, then I think we're only left with these. But again, I've just seen in the press conference, he's been looking and including in the training this week a young lad called Henry Cartwright, who is a central midfielder who is 20 years old. Again, he could feature on the bench. I don't know anything about these players. These are the first times I've heard their names, I think. So Henry Cartwright could well feature, because Ruud said he's been training with the senior players this week. So that could be, again, quite exciting, where God closes the door, he opens a window, right? So
Indeed.
So we're going to be left with
Chowdhury. Don't open the door to Jehovah's Witnesses.
So Chowdhury and Skip, I think, are going to be our starters. It doesn't fill me with a load of confidence in terms of forward press, but we know Chowdhury will put in a shift, although I would prefer him to be the one furthest away from danger, because I think his awareness is really poor. So I prefer him to be the fronter facing one, because I think he can do quite well attacking wise. And we know he can throw his body around, which is great for the fans to see. And sometimes it's really needed, I feel like we're a bit too nice in the old tackle front.
Yes, definitely. Well, that's why I like Samari being in there, because he was he was becoming that midfield enforcer, wasn't he?
Absolutely. And Skip, I feel we've seen some good glimpses of Skip, but now's his chance to have a go.
Yep. Hi, Locks. How are you doing? And Andreas is in as well. Tommy says, need Wout Faes back starting. Don't know what you're drinking, but can I have some, please? Look, everybody's entitled to their choices. And Jamie's in all the way from Alcudia, if that is where he is. Afternoon all, yes, Skip and Hamza to start, I think. You see, I like Skip. I know Brad doesn't. I like Skip, and I don't think he's as defensive as people make out. A few times that I've seen him, he has been getting forward. And as Ruud said, he's got the experience.
Yeah, he has got the experience, and we know he's had a good pedigree coming from where he comes from. And he played a nice ball through the middle, I think, in the build-up to Vardy's goal on Sunday. So that to me also says that he isn't one of these players, a bit like VK can be, where his 99% of the time he will just turn and pass it back. And I think Wolf can be a bit like that as well, which is why sometimes Wolf, as you know, frustrates me. But Skip has a bit of a football brain there, and he will absolutely look for the forward pass if it's on. I just worry sometimes in some of the games that we saw him latterly with Cooper before he was kind of dropped, is that he does tend to find himself in loads of space when we're out of possession. He seems to be chasing shadows a little bit. But again, that could also be the makeup of the organisation and the tactics of the previous manager. You don't know what goes on in that department. Like Skip will know, he's played hundreds of football games. He will know how to be a combative defensive midfielder. So yes, I'm hopeful that, him and Hamza are going to have to work flipping hard, really hard here. And their communication has got to be exceptional. But I think with Cody and Vestergaard, well, we know full well Cody will be breathing down the neck and shouting at them. Hopefully, we can just keep it tight.
Yeah. No, and look, sometimes you have to make the best of what you've got, and I'm not saying that either of these two players are just what we've got. They are better than that. But look, I like Skip, and I think Hamza, like you say, he can do a job for us. And as Jamie says here, loving Cody getting games, the leader on the pitch, which is what we need. Michael Golding's also been mentioned a lot, but I think that's going to come on to our next section, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is the three up front, which you've gone for Brenette, if I've got this the right way around, Brenette in the middle, McAteer on the left, and Knuth on the right. Although they can swap, can't they?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I mean McAteer, I think will be on the left. Oh no, will he? No, McAteer will be on the right. I think. Won't he? McAteer will be on the right. El Knuth will be on the left.
Right.
But he does. Yeah, they're the front three anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
And Branagh, I feel like Branagh and Bilal, because of how good they are on the ball and the ground that they cover, they will always cover that central to wing area generally, and probably switch quite a lot because they seem to be the same type of player from a mentality perspective.
Yeah.
They're very football brained and minded to make sure that they cover each other and produce space and create space from the attacking threat. So I don't think that's the bad front three at all in that sense. Casey, I think, is going to be one of our most improved players of the season. I think when those award ceremonies come, it wouldn't surprise me to see that type of award awarded to him, because I think he has so much potential. And I feel like every game he's getting a bit braver. He really had that Brighton fullback for pace, but I don't think he quite believed it on Sunday. So I'd love to see him. And I think Ruud will help with that. We're being coached now by a former potent threat of goal. That's exactly what Ruud was. He was an absolute handful. And if he can get our attacking threat operating with that kind of venom, then it's quite exciting for young players like these three here to want to learn from somebody like that, because we've said before, every goal that you score, you've got to take a risk. And you're not going to score a goal if you don't try and lick your fullback. I don't mean physically lick.
I would never have thought you would.
You can try
it. That would get a red card. Look, again, another elephant in the room there. You know what I'm going to ask you on here. Mavididi, did he come into your thoughts at all to start?
Yeah, he did. But I still think he's got a way to go. Like Casey comes out the blocks. Casey really comes out the blocks and starts strong, works his socks off. We've seen him become a bit more defensively minded. Again, the belief that he can battle. He's not just an attacking player that looks pretty and takes the ball forward. Like, he really got stuck in at the weekend. Yeah. And I'm not sure we're going to see that from Mavididi. I feel like a lot of people don't like you using the word lazy, but he is a bit lazy in that regard. And maybe lazy is not the right word, but lackluster and not willing to get his hands dirty.
Yes.
And I think we don't see that from McAteer as much. But I do think Mavididi will have a part to play. I'd even be comfortable with looking at them for 45 each. I think that would be quite a viable option. It's a great problem to have, because a a left winger has been a real problem area for us, really. Like, we only had Harvey for such a long time, and Harvey had his strengths and weaknesses, whereas now we've got two very different types of wingers in McAteer and Mavididi to try and change it up a bit. But I do think Mavididi, because of his pace McAteer's fast, but Mavididi's got that explosive pace where he can really make a difference as an impact sub. And I think he will just be utilised as that for now.
Yeah, I'm going to say, is that a role, do you think? Look, he's been in the Premier League slightly before when he was at Arsenal, but I don't think he sort of set any, records or anything. But do you think the super sub is the role that at the moment, anyway, Ruud sees for him? Because I was kind of hoping coming into this season, obviously having seen them last season, to see, Fatawu on, I know he's injured and whatever, but Fatawu on one side and Mavididi on the other, tearing up the opposition's defences.
Yeah, I think that's still a possibility as a bit of a short to medium term plan. But remember, they're both still really young. Fatawu in particular has just ticked 20, and he's got a lot to learn, though he does look more exciting and capable at the moment than Mavididi does. Mavididi's just really hot and cold, and his cold is really cold, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
McAteer, I don't think, has those extremes in his performances, and neither does Fatawu particularly. Fatawu was growing into things before his unfortunate injury. I think Mavididi's just got a way to go just to tighten up his all-round game, and I genuinely believe he is not as fit as he should be, because Victor Christensen will always need help. Like, we've seen that Buonanotte and El Canoes covered so much ground all game, and I don't think you'd see that from Mavididi at the minute. He has got to pull his finger out and get his fitness up to scratch, because Christensen will, because of the nature of how we play, he will often get overloaded, and I often find myself at games screaming at Mavididi to get back and help out.
And
does
he not listen to you?
Sorry?
Does he not listen to you?
No, he does not. It's hard from like the very back row.
I'm sure even you make yourself heard from there.
You know what I mean? He's not jogging back, but he's just a bit like, I don't think he senses the danger, and I don't think he understands enough that he can affect it. He can change the momentum and help Victor Christensen out. So I think you've got to earn your stripes in the Prem. It's not all about being flashy and brilliant, because he is not Riyad Mahrez. He is absolutely nothing like Riyad Mahrez. So we need him to just improve his all-round game. And I think that will come with a bit of humility from his point of view, because I don't think he perhaps is the type of player that thinks he should do that. But when you're playing in a team like Leicester, and when your great attributes aren't as great as they should be, you've got to improve your all-round game.
Yeah, and I think Ruud will have a big part to play in that. Now then, this was a surprise. You're one up front, and you've gone for this formation, I guess, because this is the formation that we think Ruud will be going for. I mean, what made you pick Edouard? There you go. It isn't. Everybody, did you just hear that thump of everybody falling off the chairs?
Ruud's not even mentioned him yet, has he? I mean, he's talked about a lot of players. He's even talked about these two youngsters from absolutely nowhere today. I mean, I did not expect Jamie to do 90 minutes week in, week out, but hey, he's doing it.
He is. Well, yeah, I mean, but we've got the options, obviously, if it does tire a little bit, but no player is undroppable, but Vardy's as close as you can get, isn't he?
Yeah, while he's doing what he's doing, his goal involvements are massive. His conversion rate is, I think, only second to Haaland now this season, and that's only just been surpassed this last week from what I read. And that's Haaland's conversion rate. When you think about the assists that Haaland gets from that midfield of Manchester City compared to us, like, Vardy's conversion rate is just unbelievable, but he just gives the defence something to think about. He's, like, when the defence comes up for one of their own corners, they always have to leave people back. And it's not just because of pace. It's because I don't think Jamie's what he was, but he's got that nous of holding the ball up. He makes some amazing passes, which I think go unnoticed. Like, a lot of his little offloads, little 1-2s, they're just not even thought about, but they're executed perfectly nearly all the time. So he has missed a few. We've spoken about that before. He's missed a few more obvious chances, like Spurs at the first game of the season. But he's just such a handful still. You know, not just the fox in the box, but just generally how he influences the team and the lift he gives and the crowd as well when we're at home. And he's just an absolute shithouse. I mean, if you want to chant against him as a fan, he did that straight away, you know, with the West Ham. Was it the West Ham goal? You know, he won't stop. He's just incentivized so much. His motivation is unbelievable.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, there's a very good piece. I mean, look, I really like the way Rob Tanner writes and what he writes for The Athletic. And I say, if anybody isn't subscribed to The Athletic, why not? There are always offers on, so get over there and subscribe. He has done an amazing piece on Jamie Vardy just recently. 37 years, 11 months.
Yes, I read I think I tweeted about the article. It was brilliant.
It was, wasn't it? It does. And I get fed up with keep clicking awesome every time, but I have to. But that's why he's at The Athletic and, you know, not at the Star. But, as long as he's going on. I mean, the other thing as well with Jamie Vardy is when you look at as the opposition and those team sheets come in and you don't see Jamie Vardy's name on there, that immediately gives them a boost, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't really understand, and I think I tweeted this, because when you read that Athletic article, the data in there and the stats in there are completely summing up why he's got to be top 10 Premier League GOATs. He's got to be, because of where he's come from, the age he's still doing it at, the adversity he's faced, the team he's played for. He's not going to be compared to Harry Kane. Harry Kane's always been part of a very forward playing, attacking team in Tottenham.
Yeah.
You know, Vardy's got these goals from arguably a counter-attacking style of play for the majority of his career, and a team that has struggled for quite a lot of the seasons we were in the Prem, in the last stint that we were in the Prem. So he's just absolutely incredible, and he is undroppable at the minute because he's on fire, isn't he? He's absolutely on fire. But I was really encouraged to see at the weekend that Ruud obviously brought Daka on in a 2, which I think would be absolute music to Jamie's ears.
Yes.
Because there's just something else for the defence to think about, which takes the heat off Jamie all the time, from hanging on the edge of the offside, from feeling pressured to constantly outpace the defender, which he often can't do anymore. And I think that's a mixture of him losing his pace because he's nearly 38, but also you don't get any Dean Windasses anymore in the Premier League. They're all pretty quick defenders now. The game has changed, particularly in the last 10, 15 years. You don't get the cart horse at the back. You don't get your Ryan Bennett's at the back, I'm glad to say.
Do you want that?
So he's had to, as Ruud says, he's had to evolve consistently. And I don't think anywhere near he gets the credit he deserves because he plays for little old Leicester.
He evolves because he does so well with each new manager that comes in. And each new manager will probably tweak and have him doing something slightly different. You mentioned him there, and look, you know, I know Dakova Reed, my favourite player. You know, he scored. He should have had 2 goals. Let's be honest with you. I'm not sure that it was you or Brad. I think it was you that said had he not scored, Daka was behind him and he would have scored anyway. Are we seeing the rebirth of Daka?
Rebirth or birth?
Now. Don't be. You can be cutting at times, Kate. You can.
I absolutely can. Gosh, one can only hope. I mean, we've tried and tried. And last year, I did think, if you're not going to score goals in this team setup in the Championship, you've got to be put out to pasture. But obviously, against West Ham, he was the most tenacious, successfully so, that we've seen. Like before, we've seen him chase around like Bambi on ice a little bit, really. Yeah. Whereas against West Ham, he was just much more direct, and he was on the money with his pressing and obviously with his finishing. So, I mean, I think all fans would love to see just a bit more of the 2 up front. I don't really know why that became unfashionable. especially when you've got two very different players like Vardy and Daka there. That would trouble most defences, and you'd struggle with most defensive to consistently play out from the back. But hey ho, here we are. But I'd like to think that, again, because of Ruud's skill set as a player, that he will at least be able to improve Daka's fundamental sort of positioning and approach to games, which will hopefully lead to goals.
Yes. And look, he also, I think he's very much at one thing, we've all agreed this, he's a confidence player. You know, when you looked at the way that, and I can never forget the look on his face as he was taken off against Plymouth away last season. You know, he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. And I honestly think that was one of the things about, you know, that, look, we can't criticise Enzo for getting much wrong last season, but I think he should have maybe taken him out the firing line, you know, and given him a bit of a break. But as a manager that's come in, that he knows wanted him when he was previously at PSV, so he knows all about Ruud. He's done his homework. Ruud knows all about him. He's done his homework on him. Like you said, if Ruud doesn't get a tune out of him, then maybe we've got to say, look, it's not going to happen. But that guy that scored that goal against West Ham, I mean, where did that come from? As I saw him bearing down on his wrong foot, I thought this is gonna schlup this and put this in row double's head. But
I've not heard that before.
no, I say it all the time. I've been behind that goal and suffered a couple of schlups there. But I mean, what? Where the hell did that come from?
Well, there was a couple of things there that kind of played out to make that goal happen. The first was his press was accurate. So he was close to the defender. He stuck a leg out and it paid off because he then intercepted the ball and then ran on. And his pace has never, ever been a problem. He's never been able to use it to his full capability. But in this particular moment, the defender couldn't keep up with him, which most defenders probably couldn't. The defender got back. He did get back. And then Daka, being Daka, wanted to only take it on his right foot. Don't really ever understand Premier League players in particular who are strikers who can't comfortably shoot with the other foot. Bobby Charlton was like the biggest anti, if you can't shoot with both feet, why are you in my team? You should read Bobby Charlton's stuff on that. He practiced so hard in the end with his left foot, that became the more accurate and his right foot became the more powerful. Right. So he always was a big believer in, and I think the same. How are you at this level and you can't just comfortably, I'm not saying it's your favoured, but comfortably do it. What happened in that build-up was he wrong-footed the defender kind of by accident because he absolutely wanted to take it on his right foot. But the defender was there and the defender had done well by closing off the angle. So his only option, because nobody else was really there and caught up with him, was I've got to shoot this with my left foot. And you could see the cogs turning, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to shoot this with my left foot. And look what happened.
Yes.
But just swing your boot at it because you're a professional footballer. If you swing your left foot at it when you're that close, it could go rose ed or it could be an absolute rocket. And I'm hoping that is the moment, that could be the catalyst moment where Daka's like, I'm better than I believe I am. Yes. I can do it. Yes. And it's that confidence, isn't it? Like you said, that, oh my God, I got an amazing goal there out of nothing, really. It was out of nothing. And those moments can be big turning points for players, can't they? So
they can. And I mean, look, you know, we can't complain at what Enzo did for us last season. But sometimes, as good as a manager is, just a change of a manager can make all the difference. I mean, look at Bobby Decova-Reid. He's suddenly primetime Messi, isn't he?
He's your new favourite.
I did a show with Brad, and I did it after Cooper had left, and we rated all the players in the old style O-level and A-level ratings. So it was A, B, C, D, and U, and I gave him a U minus, and I went mad because Brad wanted to give him a U plus, and I wouldn't let him. He said, "You can give him a U, but you're not giving him a U plus." But I have to eat humble pie. He's come on, and again, is it a case of a manager knowing what he wants him to do and him understanding what that manager wants him to do?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's the same with Edouard, you know. I know what we've seen of Edouard has not been more than a 1 out of 10, but he hasn't been given a proper chance, really. But Decordova-Reid, like you were sat there for most games this season wondering what we spunked a load of money on there. Like,
Yes.
what is his place? What space was he supposed to fill when we bought him? Where did we see him playing for us?
Yeah.
Because he is an experienced Premier League player that will have a load of attributes that come with that are far better than some of the players that we have in the league, in the squad. So I think seeing the last 2 games where we scored 2 goals, I know one was ruled out, but you're kind of seeing like this real combative, aggressive winger who can control the ball, will absolutely sprint for his life to support you and get in the box if he needs to. And this could be a really exciting time for Bobby. And it genuinely wouldn't surprise me if we see a start for him at some point. Or just a regular
long season, isn't it? It's a long season. And if we do well in the cup, and get a couple of games.
So far, he's been asked to do a job for Rude twice, and he's brought home the bacon twice. And that is really quite exciting for us. We've had the same feeling with Samari. That feels like a totally new signing when we thought he was written off.
Yes, yeah, and that's quite funny because usually we expect Vestergaard to bring home the bacon, being Danish. Oh, it was clean. It was clean.
This is it. I mean, every cloud, right?
Exactly. I mean, the only thing with Edouard is, obviously the Covey Reed was a free signing, and I used to say that even that was too much. But, maybe Rude can turn him around. Edouard is on loan, and if we've got to let somebody go to bring another lone player in, I think he's obviously, it's not going to be Bonetti, is it? So he's going to be the one that's sacrificed. So I think we are edging towards that. Very quick thought. Any thoughts? Geordie Toon for Life very kindly there put what he thinks the Newcastle team is going to be. I know obviously you've got a soft spot for Newcastle, as I keep reminding you. But I'm sorry. One day I will let that drop, but one day I'll be dead.
It was Alan Shearer mainly, but that team with Alan Shearer was absolutely sensational. David Ginola, come on, who's not going to support a team that's got David Ginola in it?
Females probably not, but no, I take completely. I understand where you're coming from, but no. Looking at that team, any thoughts on that at all? I mean, it's a pretty strong team, isn't it?
Yeah, I listened to a bit of Luke's podcast earlier today, and he had a Geordie fan on, and the Geordie fan was talking about Gordon being quite hot and cold. So the Gordon JJ battle could be quite interesting. I think JJ is going to he could potentially have a bit of a hard game. Joe Linton is always a handful for us. And Isak is obviously, I think he's just come into form again, hasn't he? But Geordie Toon for Life might be able to comment. For some weird reason, when I listen to Leicester stuff on Spotify and podcasts and stuff, if I've not got one lined up, it defaults to Newcastle's podcasts. Like, it just carries on playing and takes me to Newcastle's. And weirdly, and because I was working, I've just let it play. But last week I was listening, and they were genuinely saying they were concerned about Eddie Howe's performances over the last year to 18 months. And if they don't put performance, like if they lose to Leicester was kind of the quote, his job could be on the line. And I'm thinking they are actually thinking that they could lose to Leicester. Like, it was a realistic consideration, which was quite surprising. Well, so are they there to be taken?
Yeah, well, tonight at 9:00, I've got John Sinclair on from John Sinclair TV. He's a big Newcastle fan. So he'll give us his thoughts on that. I mean, Newcastle's season, they're sat in 12th. This is not, if you're Newcastle and you've been bought out by, you're now the richest club in the world. And yes, they're acting sensibly with the world. They're not going out and breaking every rule going, Manchester City. But they played 15 games this season. They're sat in 12th. It's probably not where they thought they would be this season, because you look at every season to improve. They've won 5, they've drawn 5, they've lost 5, scored 19, conceded 21. So I think they are there to be got at.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And, we said at the time, when Newcastle had the cash injection, that because of the PSR restrictions, it's going to be really hard for them, because they're going to attract some talent initially with the cash they had to spend. They've then got to sustain the interest of those players by consistently improving every single season, which is really flipping hard to do. And then when you have an off period, which always happens, it's how you get yourselves out of it. And if these primetime players can help you out of a sticky spot. And this is, like Geordie Toon for Life says there, they can be really great or really ordinary. And that's where you find yourself in flux of, because you can't do the cash injection to buy a sparkly 11. You can perhaps buy a sparkly 4, but you can't buy a sparkly 11. So, and it's hard. Newcastle fans are tough. We know that. They're passionate. It's hard to consistently meet expectation, as we know ourselves with fans. There's a lot of people that go to that ground every week. And if we can come out the blocks on Saturday and create some pressure, that could really act in our favour if the fans are on the backs of the Newcastle players a bit. So it could be interesting. There's a chance. There's always a chance. But we've got to be on our A game, I think, with the injuries that we've got.
I mean, I say, like, they're only 12th, I mean, they've got 20 points. They're only 4 points off Brighton in 7th. So it's not exactly a huge, but
that middle's so tight. That when you think if we'd have beat Man United at Old Trafford, we'd probably be ahead of them on points, I think.
Yes.
It's so tight at the minute. Christmas time is where the screw starts to turn, isn't it? And we know by the new year how things look a bit clearer in terms of the.
Oh, we've only got a small thing of Liverpool and Manchester City over Christmas. Well,
Yeah, but we're not going to stay up by beating Man City and Liverpool. We're going to stay up by beating teams like Wolves.
Exactly, which we've got just before.
The point at St James's Park or whatever.
Yeah.
That makes all the difference. And a point against Brighton on Sunday was flipping great.
Yes, it was. Because Brighton aren't any fools, they're in the top 10 as well. And if you gave me a point now for this one, I would take it. Would you?
Same.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I know you're on your lunch and you're probably going to want to go and water the plants before you go back. So thank you very much for giving up your lunchtime. I can't fault that team at all. It's brilliant. I would have probably gone for the same. And we're going to have to stop agreeing. It doesn't feel right. But have a great weekend. Are you going on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm going up Saturday, yeah.
Well, good luck. Take your oxygen with you, because when you get up there in that visitor...
Yeah, I've tried to pick low down, because I've been at the back before, and it feels like you're watching people watching football. Like it's really high. So yeah.
I'm scared of heights, so I bloody couldn't go.
It's like 140 steps as well or something. It's flipping hard work, I tell you.
They should put escalators in. But look, absolutely. Thanks very much, Kate. All the best.
All right,
and I'll let you get back to work. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There we go. Thanks to Kate there. Very kindly popping on to on a lunch, which is very decent of her. This, I'm hoping, is going to be a regular show. Let me know what you think, guys. Do you like it? Don't you like it? And, in an ideal world, you'd say, well, we'd pick the same 11 as last week, or, but football's not like that, is it? Injuries, suspensions, own goals. So there's a lot of things in there, missed chances, that can change. And Kate's pretty fair. She doesn't pick anybody not going. But I have to say, I like Cody and Vestergaard together. I think, like I said, experience-wise, heads-wise, look, Cody's an ex-England defender. Vestergaard's a Danish international. And Cody just shouts and controls that so much. And I don't think we've had that since Wes Morgan. Hamza and Skip. I like Skip. Hamza is a workhorse. He's a squad player, I would agree, but he's a workhorse. And he will put his foot in. Yes, he might get risk of getting sent off or booked or whatever you. But look, we know there's a decent player in there. Look at that game against West Brom last season when he cleared off the line. Left foot, right foot, header. Yeah, you can't ask anything more. McAteer, yeah, I'd agree with Kate on McAteer. Mavididi probably just needs to learn a little bit more, and I think that route's going to be good for him in that way. And then Vardy up front, you can't not, can you? You can't not. Geordie says some of our online fan base is embarrassing. They easily forget It's not how that's the problem. It's much more than that, including PSR problems. Never forget where you came from. Exactly, 100%, Geordie. And that is a very, very sensible and fair thing to say. Look, I like Eddie Howe. I live, as you know, down near Bournemouth, and I saw what he did to that team, where he got them, where he was when he took, where they were when he took over. He got them up to the Premier League. He kept them in the Premier League. Wow, he's a good manager. He's a good manager. But unfortunately, you get money or you have a good season, and fans expect more. Look, we did when we won that thing behind me there, the Premier League trophy. We expected to go on and do better. You do. It's called being a football fan. Andreas, thank you so very much. I'll pass your thoughts on to Kate as well. And Adam says, keep the shows coming, Chris. Yeah, I mean, we're going to do it again next week in the new year, because then obviously after that it's Christmas. So I've got to say, over Christmas there will be very, very little shows. It's Christmas. But then again, who knows? If I'm bored, I might do. But yeah, we'll do. Then in the new year, this will go to Friday, so which will give us a better chance to know who's injured and who's not injured. But at the moment, it is a Thursday for this week and next week. I remember when Ashley wouldn't pay $5 million for Hamza, so they couldn't. Yes, I had forgotten that, Geordie. Yeah, because he would have gone at that point. He would have gone because Rodgers wasn't particularly keen on him. So yes, I agree. I'd forgotten that. Colonel says local man who gave up chocolate to take up a career to be a magician, and I've still got a few twigs on my sleeve. On that point, we've hit a low. On that point, thank you, Colonel. I shouldn't be laughing. I don't want to encourage you. I will see you. 2 more shows to come today. 7 o'clock, we got the prediction show. Wayne's joining us, and because Dave's at his Christmas party, and Brad's be there as well. And then at 9 o'clock tonight, which I know it's normally on a Friday at 7, but I've got John Sinclair, who is a absolutely top man, and he's obviously he's got John Sinclair TV, his YouTube channel. He's a big Newcastle fan. He will be joining me, but he can't do tomorrow, so we're doing it at 9 o'clock tonight. And then after that, I'll be off to bed, and I'll probably sleep all weekend. Thanks very much for tuning in. Remember, please, to like the video, smash the likes, subscribe if you're new, and why not share it? And if you can afford $1.99 a month, why not become a member? You can't even get half a pint for that these days. I will see you later. Thanks for joining me, guys. And thanks to Kate for popping on. Her links are in the details below for her, how you can follow her. And I'll see you all later on. Good night.
Oh, ho, 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 ho. Thank you for watching. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
That's all, folks.